Welcome to Real Week. Hey everyone, it's Jonathan Silva here with Real Week, where I count down some of the top stories this past week. And the first story I want to talk about is the Tilda Swinton, the Ancient One thing from the Doctor Strange film coming out later this year from Marvel. George Takei seems to have a problem with the fact that they cast a white woman as a Tibetan character from the comics. Now, to paraphrase, George Takei stated that Marvel must think we're all idiots thinking that the reason why they cast Tilda Swinton was due to the reason that they don't want to have stifled sales in China due to casting a Tibetan woman or Tibetan actor to play the Ancient One. And to be honest, this is nothing new. This is just adding to the already whitelisting or whitewashing of characters in Hollywood. You have Scarlett Johansson, who is playing the lead in Ghost in the Shell, and news came out about that they were actually trying to digitize her eyes to make her look more Asian. It's ridiculous. Why would anybody want to try that? That's essentially just digitizing yellow face. It's ridiculous. But with Tilda Swinton, I think her getting cast as the Ancient One, many people are feeling a little bit upset about it, and quite frankly, it's understandable that they are, but I mean, they shouldn't be getting upset at Marvel because they stated that they'll be stifling the international market and their international gross margins for opening weekends and weekends to come. They should be looking at Hollywood as a whole. What needs to change is Hollywood and their ignorance that casting a Asian woman or Tibetan woman in a supporting role, even if it is not so major, but according to the trailer it looks like it is a major role, it could work. It's not just a Marvel problem. George Takei, it's a problem plaguing the entirety of Hollywood. So don't get mad at Marvel, get mad at Hollywood. Yeah, get mad at them. You see, my problem is if Marvel can cast Asian actors and basically change the films that they release, such as in Iron Man 3 and in Age of Ultron, they cast Bing Fan and Claudia Kim respectively, and basically change up those films. From what I understand, like Iron Man 3 had maybe 5 to 10 minutes of an extra scene with that Asian act with Bing Fan. Maybe they could do the same here with Doctor Strange. It's not far-fetched to think of them changing a film for international releases, but with them being under the microscope and under scrutiny as they are now, the possibility of them changing the film is sort of slim. I think they think Tilda Swinton is a little bit more marketable on the Western side and even in Europe, and maybe to them casting an Asian actress who probably has no recognizability here in the western part of the United States or in the western part of the world probably could hinder on some of their ticket sales. But when you have somebody as huge as Benedict Cumberbatch and as something as anticipated as Doctor Strange, I think George Takei might be right. I'm just playing both sides and playing devil's advocate and see what happens. And another big piece of news that came out was the reveal of what the Power Rangers look like in the new Saban live-action film, which is starring Emily Banks as Rita Repulsa, which we got to see last week. Her green and gold garb. Many people were speculating that maybe Rita Repulsa is the Green Ranger and she turned evil. And judging by the look of the Power Ranger suits, it could lean towards that way. Even I won't link to them here, but there are new behind-the-scenes photos that show she kind of looks like a Power Ranger. What I think about these Power Ranger suits is, they look okay. They look like a cross between an ODST paratrooper from Halo and an Iron Man suit. I mean, they look cool. They look like a futuristic motorcycle gang. I'm not complaining about it. I think casting Elizabeth Banks as Rita Repulsa, I think they're using her to bring sort of like a comedic sort of tone to Power Rangers, unless she could surprise me and do something fantastic. But judging by her casting and judging by the look of the Power Rangers, I'm guessing the Power Rangers is going to be also super serial, like Al Gore says it. I like the suits. The masks kind of call back to the original Power Rangers live action show from the 90s with them gray mouthpiece here and the animalistic style helmet at the top. I mean, it looks kind of cool, and it calls back to the old shows of the 90s. But looking at them again, I think the only cool one here is the Black Ranger. I don't know if it's going to be Zach. I don't know if any of the characters, Billy and Tommy, and Trini, and Zach. I think the only problem that I have is that two of the female Rangers apparently have E-cups, which bulges out. I wonder how they fight with such stupid costumes that have to accentuate their bosoms. We're in 2016. They could have it, just a little flatter, make it look a little bit more like the men, but kind of make it a little bit more feminine if you can. I mean, it's still a lot better than like Soul Calibur armor or like anything from Mortal Kombat or any Japanese manga who kind of seem, oh look, I'm gonna wear armor, I'm gonna put a squid tentacle here and then another squid tentacle on my crotch, and then that's all the armor I'm wearing. I can't wait to see how they look in action. Entertainment Weekly doesn't do a great job of taking photos of costumes, especially what we saw with X-Men Apocalypse, which kind of looked like a Power Ranger ooze from the Power Rangers movie back in 94, 95, somewhere around there. So I'm curious to see how they look in the lighting that the film wants you to see. So this might look terrible to some people, and for some other people it looks cool. I think it lies somewhere in the middle. But I can't wait to see how they look in action in a trailer for Power Rangers, which I hope comes by the end of the year, fingers crossed. So it could be worse. So if anyone's seen the People vs. O.J. Simpson earlier this year, it's a fantastic little anthology show that really kicked it out of the park. It's fantastic. If you haven't seen it, try to get an FX Now account and watch it. This is not an endorsement, but you need to watch it. It's very good. Well, Ryan Murphy, the creator of that show and the creator of American Horror Story, is coming out with a new anthology series for FX. FX loves their anthology series. This one is going to be called Feud, and it's going to be looking at the feuds between people in Hollywood. Like, we've gotten Batman v Superman and we've gotten Civil War. Why not get Joan Crawford versus Bette Davis? That is the first season. It's going to star Jessica Lange and Susan Sarandon as Bette Davis and Joan Crawford, and their feud while shooting the film Whatever Happened to Baby Jane. With my love of the People versus O.J. Simpson, I think this new show is going to be fantastic. I don't really watch most of Ryan Murphy's show all the way to completion. I first started with Nip Tuck, didn't finish the entire show. Started with Glee, didn't finish the entire series. Started with American Horror Story, couldn't get past season 1. But The People vs. O.J. Simpson was the first one that I saw to completion. It was, oh my god, it was so good. Feud looks like it's going to be in that same vein, so I am so pumped to see what comes out. And with a cast like that, who can turn it down? And let's talk about a little bit of video game news now. I mentioned before that the Infinite Warfare trailer for Call of Duty dropped and I was completely underwhelmed. And I was wanting something more along the likes of a World War II or a Vietnam War shooter that was a fresh take on the infinite amount of, pun intended, on the infinite amount of warfare shooters, future shooters that are saturating the market right now. And I was lamenting Call of Duty Black Ops and World at War and Call of Duty 2 and Call of Duty 3 and just looking back at it with rose-colored glasses, like, why can't we get something like that now? Except we are. Battlefield 1, the trailer premiered just a couple of days ago because of some leaks, and we get something that we've seen before, but not at this AAA level. We've gotten, like, the history video games, the History Channel video games about World War I, but finally, I wouldn't say finally because I wasn't really yearning for a game like this, but we are getting a World War I video game from DICE and EA, and it looks fantastic. We're getting trench warfare, we're getting warfare in the Middle East with horses and Pacific planes. It looks fantastic. I don't know if there's going to be a storyline to it. I don't know if they're going to use some DLC, but the internet has been so excited about it. I watched it a couple times, and every time I hear the Seven Nation Army to the trailer, it just gets me pumped. I can't wait. This is a game that I really want to play because it's so much different than what we've been getting from in the past with Call of Duty, and even with Battlefield themselves. They are pretty guilty themselves with Battlefield 4, and to a certain extent Battlefield Hardline, which I wouldn't say is future warfare, but is pretty close to what we're getting with Ghosts and Black Ops 3 and Infinite Warfare, and to a certain extent it's just Battlefield 4 with a new skin over it. So I can't wait to see a little bit more of the gameplay footage. I think this is more cinematic footage than gameplay, so I want to see how everything works, especially with weapons that need a little bit more time to load and cock, and I wonder if that'll break up some of the fast-paced action that we're used to seeing in shooters nowadays, which is one of the reasons why that History Channel game about World War I and even the Civil War, and even Army of Darkness or whatever that game was with the guy who goes back in time, just doesn't work, mainly due to, I got a rifle and I gotta shoot, and then I gotta. And even the Civil War game, to a certain extent, it was which is an overly dramatized version of trying to load a musket. And those are the stories that I feel were the most important this week. It is truly a real week. If you want to support LazyDog Films, you can go ahead in two different ways. You can like the video and subscribe to the channel for some more content. I have some more stuff coming up later this month. It's so exciting. Or you can visit lazydogfilms.net in the link below or in the top right corner to buy a LazyDog tee. Yeah. It's a 50-50 blend. Feels really nice on your skin. It's gray. You have the logo. It's a great way to support LazyDog Films to help me come up with new videos and new designs. And speaking of designs, I'm working on a fantastic design for anybody who's a fan of Harry Potter, which is coming out hopefully by the summer or by the end of the summer. I'm also working on some other colors for gray. I know gray is drab. I've heard that from my own family. And I'm also working on hats and beanies if you're interested, so be on the lookout for that. If you want to go ahead and watch my review for Captain America Civil War, you can click on that box right up here. Or if you want to see where Captain America Civil War places on my top 5 favorite MCU films, you can go ahead and click right here. I'm Jonathan Silva, and this has been LazyDog Films with Real Week.